Here we go, level 13.
Level Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. I can't wait.
Should have played it on Friday the 13th
I
last
know.
week.
Really, really blew that. Blew that opportunity.
I gotta love whenever we see outdoor nature scenes in the old Sith engine or Quake engine. It's just like, here's some geometric mountains.
Yeah, it's really a product of its time. I
Absolutely.
I remember games like this around this time. Like I remember when Unreal, the first Unreal came out,
Hmm.
and it looked amazing. And
Hmm.
this game, like when going from software rendering to 3D rendering, was also amazing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nowadays, it's just like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those products of its time. Although, like I said in the previous video, the actual scaling and the movement looks really good, um, which we might not have even had back then with our 486s and stuff. But yeah, geometric lines. If it's like an imperial base, it looks pretty good. But yeah, mountains and things that should be rounded look pretty rough.
Yeah, that's my authorization.
Why has that not been a line in a Star Wars like movie yet? Like a straight up Arnold kind of line, like "Here's my authorization."
Consider that my authorization. Okay, so we're supposed to slice those up, I guess. Whew. Okay, that's what we're trying to deactivate. Whoa!
Oh yeah, those missile troopers suck.
Oops. Okay, okay, guys, calm down.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where'd they go? Okay.
Then you got a turret. Oh, three turrets. Oh, watch your
Bad.
health. Oh, where did he come from?
Yeah, I know, right?
He's like
This is
running
a bad spot. He must have been in here. Somebody else. Oh, it's the. What are they? I forgot. What are they called? Not
back then.
Minox. No, no, no. I
Oh,
hear the.
you said Mylock in a previous video, but I actually looked him up and it's something totally different. It's
Oh,
I forget. Actually, what am I doing? I got Wikipedia right here.
yeah. What are you doing? Not doing your job.
I'm not doing my job as a navigator here. Of course, with not knowing the name on Wikipedia, I have to go to Jedi Knight and then click under creatures. Let's see. We got it's a Maylock,
Maylock. Oh, that's weird.
and I guess they're on Sullen, Endor, probably like with the bonus map on Mysteries of the Sith. I think Rusan and Dromund Kaas. And yep, they appear in Jedi Knight and Mysteries of the Sith.
Whew.
Oh, so we'll talk about this more on the podcast in detail later after you see it. But once again, I saw The Mandalorian in the morning because I've been waking up early and Nicole has a few hours in the morning. So it's weird. I've been watching it like at 5 a.m. the last couple times.
I keep
And
forgetting it's such an odd day for it to come out
yeah,
that I always
yeah.
forget. So I haven't watched it yet.
I got to say though, I didn't realize until last week that Carl Weathers had directed this one. Oh, level restart.
No, no, no.
Oh,
I did a quick
oh, there you go.
save before I did
There you
this jump.
go. Good call. But yeah, Carl Weathers did a great job directing it. That's all I gotta say. It was. I like that they threw him a bone, and I mean, he probably bugged him like, "Hey, I'd love to direct one," and then I don't know if he's had any previous directing experience. I'm assuming he has, but dude,
Okay, I need to be more careful.
I
Well, it's pretty
yeah, no
common
kidding.
for people that want to get into directing will direct episodes of a TV show or their own, episodes of a show they're already on,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
it's it's probably really easy on them to direct something like that because they're around the crew they know, they're around the cast members they
mm-hmm.
know, so it's like um, easier for them to do that.
Slide right in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
Um,
we know that. Yeah, I said I was going to save it for the podcast, but this will do. Last week's
well,
the heiress
as far as when, like, whatever, the next podcast will probably come out before
later.
this episode because we have a
Yeah,
lot of levels that we haven't uploaded
that's
at this
true.
point.
That's true. But just wanted to briefly say about the last one, the heiress. Obviously that was a great episode. Everyone loved it because it's like, oh, Bo-Katan in live action, and that was cool. And you see more Mandalorians. But even as awesome as that one was, I actually liked this week's episode slightly more.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
saying a lot. That's saying a lot because I loved last week's a lot. So after, like, when I was watching it this morning, I told Nicole, I was like, this season is way better than season one. I can say that now, even though episode 2 is kind of filler, but it's just more exciting with what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you don't have to world build as much. Character build. You can get right to stuff happening.
right. Exactly. And that was the thing with season 1. They were going to set things up, even sometimes very slowly, with lots of mood building, with
Hmm.
walking around a la Lord of the Rings.
The fellowship of the child.
Yeah.
It is funny to think, in that show, it's like, what is Luke doing? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like what is
I
going
know.
on? I
Yeah.
hope they address it.
Well, the way I see it, at least as far as like non-Jedi events, um, I figure he's rebuilding his Jedi Order. He's probably helping the New Republic settle the core worlds in some way. Probably not that different than kind of the factions of the Empire that had splintered in Legends. There's probably just like a lot of sectors to take down some actual Star Destroyers and Moffs and things. Although, well, actually, on second thought, in canon, the New Republic kind of got rid of its fleet, um, or its main military. Yeah, I don't know, because it's weird. Like, supposed to be that after the Battle of Jakku, that was the end of the Empire, but obviously Moff Gideon has his little splinter. So I'm not sure if there's other splinter groups in the Outer Rim. Who knows? But
Well, as you know, in the old EU, that was pretty common.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think this just proves that not necessarily that the new canon is taking from the old EU. I think it's inevitable that you come across the same story parallels that are going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, it's logically what would happen.
Yeah, it's like, oh gee, of course the empire is going to splinter. There's going to be, many empires out there. There's going to be you know, Luke is going to rebuild the Jedi Order. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all laid out in the classic trilogy at the end of Return of the Jedi. So,
The Praxium.
man, if that word could get recanonized again, I would love it. I always loved that term.
Yeah.
Credit to Kevin J. Anderson
Credit
for,
where credit's due.
yeah, creating something pretty cool.
You think he's getting his checks? Or is it just Alan Dean Foster that's getting
Yeah,
screwed
maybe
over?
just ADF.
Well, that one's weird to me. Like I think I mentioned the comments on Facebook when we were talking about it. He wrote stuff for Disney, so are they not? Are they cutting checks
Yeah,
for TFA?
yeah, yeah. That's the weird thing. You know, I'm sure they are. I think because I think the reason he did mention Splinter and A New Hope is because the way the terminology put it was that these were under contract under a different company. But the
Yeah,
thing is, Disney is the one reprinting these things.
right.
So it's like, I mean, he can't get the royalty checks from Del Rey because Del Rey doesn't own them anymore.
Right.
So, in other words, it's kind of like what the legal thing he laid out in the message was that would be like if another company bought another company just to avoid royalties. It would be happening all the time,
Yes.
you know? So it's like obviously someone at Disney knows what they're doing with
Yeah.
that. So it's really sketchy, and maybe it's just one of these things that Disney is looking at cost cutting. So they're like, oh, who can we screw over to save, you know, a couple $1,000s,
Yeah.
you know, because of COVID, you know, and the parks and everything.
Yeah.
They might just be trying to squeeze everything they can whenever they can.
Yeah, that's my guess. It's just interesting that they didn't point out, because I would assume that Disney's paying for the Force Awakens novelization. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if that book's flying off the shelves at this point, and it's something that there's a lot of checks, queued up to
yeah,
be
right. I'm sure it's still
sent.
doing
But
decently well. Strangely enough, just about 3 days ago, I nearly bought the paperback of it because when I read it, it was the ebook,
mm-hmm.
and um, I very nearly bought it, but I was like, well, I don't absolutely need it right now because I'm reading tons of other stuff. It's just going to be another thing that sits on my shelf that I then get to. But I saw that the paperback of Rise of Skywalker is now out, so that's cool. And I still got to read Last Jedi, so I'll
Yeah,
get to it eventually. I mean, I am excited to dive into the rest of the sequel novelizations because I want to see what they expand on. It's just not super high priority just because I think, you know, I've been a little burned out on the sequel era now that those movies are done.
well, the
I'm
movies
just,
didn't do us any favors in lighting a fire.
I mean, yeah, they were great for what they were, but like I never became enamored with that era.
Yeah.
Even though I did read pretty good amount of comics and novels from there. I read Before the Awakening, which is like, Ray, Finn, and Poe stories that lead right into Force Awakens. Those are pretty good. I enjoyed those. I read obviously The Force Awakens. Oh, we got an ATST. Um, oh yeah, good call with that one.
Okay,
You might
we'll
want to quick
see.
save.
What? Quick save. Oops. Force powers
Spoiler.
everywhere.
Trying to think what else I read. Oh, there was
Oops.
actually that might be it. I think everything else of the new canon has been other eras like Solo and Lost Stars and stuff. But and then Last Shot, which was I have mixed feelings on. I like parts of Last Shot, but it was just kind of a strange read.
Yeah, I need to read all that stuff.
And then, some things I'm just not enthused about because maybe the character died in the movie, like Phasma. You know, like I heard that the Phasma novel is really good, and it came out before The Last Jedi. But then it's just like, so I almost thought like, ooh, I should probably read it before the movie. But then in the movie, she just dies like a puss.
Like a
So it's
bitch.
just like a bitch.
Yeah, it's
Does
kind
he
of.
look like a
Yeah.
bitch? Yes.
Does Captain Phasma look like a bitch? Um, it's tough. I was thinking about this because I still need to finish most Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina at this point in time,
Hmm.
and it's all right. I need to disable that shield, but I gotta figure out.
Must be another switch somewhere.
Yeah, or power sources or whatever. Oh no, there it is. Okay, maybe I just gotta drop down there.
Oh, that's right. I think you do get under it that way, and then you turn it off from the other side.
All right, where was I supposed to go? I feel like I was supposed to come from here. Um,
You're talking about Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina.
yeah, yeah. So, and this is kind of the problem. So when I'm sitting there reading, and obviously Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, a lot of that stuff you can just consider it canon because
Yeah,
nothing contradicts it that much. Nobody's.
nothing. Even reading a certain point of view, 40 stories from 40 years of Star Wars, which takes place during the Cantina through most of that book, I went back to look at segments from Tales from the Cantina, and it fits fine with the new canon. So
Yeah, I
there
don't
was
think
no direct
depends
contradiction.
on how enthusiastic people are about writing about Moof Talk and Kabe and
And
stuff.
and
So
and that's the thing. Muftak and Kabe do show up in certain point of view,
what really?
and yeah, and what's funny is because the events of one book take place a day or two before or after the other book, it pretty much is the same. So yeah, I was surprised how well everything fit, and also certain point of view sometimes focuses on other Cantina characters that Tales didn't. Like trying to think, there's like Joss Pure, who's that kind of stony faced
Mm-hmm.
alien with like a dark kind of face. He's like in the
Yeah,
background of the Cantina. He had a CCG card.
yeah.
Um,
I think I know who
there's
you're talking about. I can picture the card in my head because I played that
yeah,
Decipher game a lot.
right. So there's guys like that that get a focus in the new book, and they weren't in Tales from the Cantina. So yeah, it's it all fits pretty well. And in some cases, they like I said, Muftak and Kabe, they didn't change the names. Momon Nadon is still Momon Nadon.
Yeah.
You know what? When I played this part a few years ago, I died a lot. I remember because there's a lot of stormtroopers, and it's like attrition where eventually there's so many. It's like death by 1,000 blaster shots.
Uh huh. There we go.
Might be one of those things you might have to snipe from a doorway, maybe, or
That's well. They're coming out of the woodwork now. All right. Now, what do you think of that? What? More?
I don't think they're respawning either, but I
don't
mean, at this
know.
point, maybe they are.
Anyway, what I was gonna say about yeah, they're just
They're
runs.
respawning.
Something.
They are. They gotta be.
Is okay. So reading that, I'm like, okay, well, this is old EU. Nothing's contradicted it. I've read it before, but is it worth reading now? And that kind of
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And
Because it's still giving you insight into a specific movie scene that when you watch the movie, it still gives you an appreciation for knowing, about the background characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas with the post Return of the Jedi stuff and the relationships and the characters like Jason and Jaina who no longer exist, there's not as much emotional resonance when you read it now because you're like, well, they're not canon. I mean, that's what some people feel. I don't feel that way because it's just whatever. I never based my emotional connection on Star Wars on book characters. Like that was the be all end all. But for some people, that's that really attached to the Legends EU, and I think it was younger people. I think it's people that were probably like preteens that read the New Jedi Order that were younger than us. Just based on what I've seen online from
Well,
people.
I mean,
But
that's kind of the problem I've had getting into the Disney stuff in general is the I invested a lot of time
yeah, you
and
did.
energy into reading the old EU. So it's difficult to set that aside, all the investment of time
Yeah,
and energy into the old EU. And
right,
they're just stories, but
right.
it's still it took a lot of time. I mean, just reading the New Jedi Order was big, and I mean I can't even imagine the Legacy of the Jedi stuff if you were reading that stuff
Dude, no
right
kidding.
up to the end, basically when
Yeah,
Disney took over. I hadn't read it yet, but
and I think it's for the best for us, so that because we didn't, it's not as upsetting because I mean that was the 2000s into the 2010s. There was like Legacy, and then there was also the what was the other series? There was two series. There was Legacy of the Force, and there was God, I'm drawing a blank. I'll look it up.
well, you just talking about that trilogy?
Well, no, there was the Dark Nest trilogy.
Yeah, that was
There's that. Let me look up. I'm on the Wook.
the look.
The Wook. Let's see. I could just look up the book timeline. The reason it slips my memory is because this was all stuff coming out when I was away from Star Wars fandom, basically.
Yeah, same with me. I
So
remember
yeah,
distinctly when the Darkness trilogy came out, and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna read
yeah,
that, but I just
and
never got around to it.
that was right when that started coming out. That was right when Revenge of the Sith was ending its run
Yes,
because
yes.
it was like the fall. It was like the fall of 2005, I think.
Hmm.
So anyway, you had Legacy of the Force. That was the first series, and that was like 2006 onward. And then the one I was thinking of that I couldn't recall was Fate of the Jedi. That
Oh,
was the other
that's
long
it.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Legacy of the Force was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. Fate of the Jedi looks like it was, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like it was 9 books
It was a
also.
lot, yeah. And a lot of
And that
Alston too.
was,
And one of the or both series, there's a
yes,
lot of Aaron Alston, which
a lot of Aaron
that
Alston
makes
and
it
Troy
worth it to
Denning.
me to maybe going back and
Yes. I
reading that stuff.
intend I intend to someday after the new Jedi Order to read those. But again, that's really on the bottom of my to-do list
Hmm.
because I still want to finish reading prequel stuff. I never read Clone Wars novels,
Oh yeah. Well,
you know, and I know you
I
read at least one, right? You read Shatterpoint.
no.
You didn't read
Well,
it?
no. Maybe I read Shatterpoint. I'd have to.
That
I
was the
can't
one with
recall.
Mace going back to his home planet.
I did actually. I Yes,
Okay.
I remember that book
I
now.
do remember you reading that one, but I don't know if you read the rest of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But my my focus right now is kind of jumping around the pre A New Hope, the classic trilogy, and the post Return of the Jedi era. Just finishing off you know, like I said today, I've been reading the old Marvel comics finally after owning them for nearly 20 years, or in some cases longer. Um, Finally plowing through those. I finally not just reread Jedi Apprentice from years ago, but I got past my old point that I did 15 years ago. So I read a couple more of those, and then just like all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're even just playing the games. You know, I
Yeah.
did, you know, Star Wars Galaxies, and wow, that was a relatively short level.
Yeah, I know. It just kind of went by quick.
I guess that's a
It
good thing because the
was a
way it worked
filler.
out
It
on
was a filler
it
episode,
was a filler episode.
or a filler level, I should say, just like the
Yeah.
filler episode in TV. Anyway, so my point was, um, my my point was, it's a lot of time investment into the old EU, and I think that's what the problem that probably a
Yeah.
lot of people have. And even
Yeah.
going back and rereading stuff I've already read, it's kind of the other side of that coin of the investment where I should be reading stuff I haven't read, not reading
Yeah.
not reading Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina. I should be reading
Yeah.
the new
I
stuff.
try and keep I try and keep one foot in the old rereading things that I've owned, and it's like, well, if I own them, I should reread them.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years in a lot of cases, or 25 years now in some. And then but I definitely want to keep that one foot in the new and the here and now.
Yeah. All right, let's look at let's see what the cutscene is. So
Yeah,
we can finish this beach. Oh, right, force powers. Okay, I'm gonna be bad, right? Okay, so
that's right. Rip. Well, you got Ma coming up, the Jedi that floats on the
oh yeah, the
repulsor
that he
lift.
got
I
cut in
think that's
half.
right here.
It's
I think,
it's yeah, this is probably it
yep,
because this is right before they have to escape the exploding ship. I think.
yes.
Finally, I get to wipe your putrid taste from the Force.